Welcome back to First Listen, everybody. My name is Tenth Isle, and I hope you're doing well today. This time, on First Listen, we checked out Joe Satriani's latest release, What Happens Next. Man, it's been a journey for me with Joe Satriani because I discovered him years ago when I was in a really heavy instrumental phase, listening to nothing with any lyrics for, oh my God, months on end. I don't think I listened to really anything. And you come across some of his stuff when you do that. I've never been a huge fan. I can't say I've actually listened to a full album until this one. But let's preface this whole review here with this one's quite good, and the guy really does the thing that you want. He plays the guitar really well. He's probably one of the best guitarists ever. Not the best, but one of them. So let's get into this First Listen. This album kicks off with energy, which, again, it kicks you right in the chest. Very rocking and moving song. I wanted to go do things when this hit. And then there's that solo. Man, he really does solos very well. That solo just kept me going throughout this whole track. It's very fast, but not too fast. Not thrash fast. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It just really made me wake up and feel good. It's awesome open. Next we have Catbot, which I love cats, so this fits perfect for me. Has a very industrial and distorted sound that actually fits okay. It does transition whenever the solo hits, and it kind of weaves itself the whole way back through with a little more of that industrial sound. But this track is very good. And I feel like it's wrapped up with this nice little light shredding that complements the track really well. Thunder High on the Mountain is our next track here, and this track, man, those drums really set the tone for something that just goes just awesome. I'm serious, they really set the pace for this rocking riff that comes through, and then that bass line just takes it the whole way, grabs it, and carries it. Very cool how that bass line, subtle even, but it pulls it all together like I wouldn't expect it to do. And then the solo for this track, man, it really takes its time, takes good care of its time, actually. Some solos are rushed and some solos are way too long. This one takes its time properly and brings us back to that opening riff, which, again, I got lost in. So, another good track. And next we have Cherry Blossoms, which takes a whole different direction. Guides us in with these nice, subtle drums. Kind of a somber feel on this one. It does lift up here and there, but there's definitely a more sentimental feeling going on with this track. But then in about 2.5 minutes, it goes nuts. And that's not a bad thing, because it just allows it to branch back into its roots of the song, and it ends so sweetly. Man, this album is looking great from this perspective. Let's continue. And Righteous. This song has that mini ballad feeling that just goes and speaks to you without really even saying a word, because there aren't any. And that funk riff feels so right. It speaks to you too. The whole track does this thing where it just talks to you like some music just doesn't do anymore. Smooth Soul. Well, like the track title says, it definitely has some soul. It carried me the whole way through it. Very beautifully done. I really like this track. It felt like a good bridge between the beginning of the album here and then as we're getting into the middle. Cool stuff. We have Head Rush. This track feels very retro, very 80s, kind of Van Halen-esque. Don't get me wrong. This isn't Van Halen. But that feel, almost like of Panama with those drums, kind of just bringing us in. Man, that was awesome. They kind of revisit it the whole way through the album, you know, here and there, but that open had me hooked right away. I was ready to get up and move. I was ready to party like 1984. It's a good time. And then we have Looper. This track actually goes all over the place a little bit, and it did get a little bit lost in the middle with some of the distortion. It, luckily enough, finds its way back and doesn't go too weird, but it was definitely the weirdest track on the album. Maybe a minor blemish on a really good album, but it doesn't go too crazy, and that's nice. And now the title track for the album. What happens next? This track has a slow, suspenseful open that really provided some mystery for me. I really like it. It literally begged the question, what happens next? Because it went all over the place. You know, I talked a little bit about another track earlier, Branching. This thing branched in a couple different directions. I'm not really sure if you could even nail it down into one rock genre. It does a lot of different things, and I feel like that comes across so well that I kind of want to listen to this track again and again. Oh man, talk about a killer track. We have Super Funky Badass. This thing has funk written all over it. Man, it's the simplicity of that opening riff that kind of is used here and there, but it just provides that awesome feeling for what is a very cool track. And this is a track that really went places, and it should. It's 7 minutes long. It's the longest track on the album. It goes a lot of places, and they're all good. I was a little bit worried about 4.5 minutes in and kind of blown away a little bit, but it carried us home and was really awesome. Invisible. This track, talk about really going for it. This one definitely goes for it, and it hits so well. This thing takes you on a journey, and the journey is wild. And man, listen to this track over and over and over. It doesn't get old. I'm not kidding. It does some crazy stuff before it brings you down and melts you at the finish. This album finishes out with Forever and Ever. This is one of the most beautiful tracks on this album by far, and all of these are really good, really well-crafted tracks. This one feels more sentimental, probably the most sentimental on the track, because some of these tracks go crazy and awesome and funky. This one definitely feels like a thing. It's got clever bends, and that palm muted just provides that atmosphere that you want. It was a great way to wrap up this album. And man, what an album it was. So this album is indeed a journey. I've talked about that in a couple tracks. This is a needed journey for me, and I feel like the guitar is probably the star of the show, and it's done really well. The guitar is deservingly the star of this whole album and this band. But let's not forget about the drums, the bass line, the other accompanying instruments. They really pull this whole thing together. This is a very good album. I really, really enjoyed it. I 100% recommend you check it out. Man, it was awesome. I give this record a 9 out of 10. And man, it was great. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. What was your first listen like for this album? Maybe you listened to it more than once. What was your experience? That's going to do it for this edition of First Listen. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.